great opportunity for us just to highlight some things that we've been involved in that you may or may not know, but it's a great chance for us just to, make us aware and also give us an opportunity to continue to be a part of something that what I love about this guy I'm about to introduce is what he's a part of is not only helping us locally, also across the nation, but also globally. I'm telling you what you're going to hear today. I'm so glad you're here. You picked a great day to be here. He's going to cover a lot of ground when it comes to some stats and some numbers. And I know sometimes stats can just like go over your head, but don't let that happen, okay? I want to challenge you to lean in and listen and really take note of what God is doing through this organization that Kevin's a part of helping lead. And having said all that, I also want you to know he's a dear friend of mine, and we've gone back for quite a while. In fact, Kevin has done lots of things, but the church that I kind of started at, he was on staff of, and he was kind of a legend there when I started. You may not know that, but Kevin the legend. I'll fill you in later on what that was. Yeah. But we had a great time just getting to know one another. But he's also planted a church. He's been a pastor for many years, and now he's helping lead this organization. And he helped us before. We're not even 4 years old yet. September will be our 4th birthday. And before we even existed, Kevin helped coach me. And so if you've seen anything wrong or dysfunctional, it's Kevin's fault, everybody, okay? So I'm just telling you. But actually, he was a great coach and really helped us guide and direct us as we started. So I'm forever grateful for that. But he and his wife, Cayenne, have 3 incredible boys. He's going to talk about their family. I think Cayenne was watching, maybe watching. In fact, I want to welcome anybody that's watching online. What's up, Cayenne? That's his beautiful wife, and she's not able to be here today. She had some minor surgery, and I hope you recover. Hope you're doing well. But one of the cool things that we get to be a part of and privileged here, and I'll shut up and give you the mic real quick, but is we live in Manhattan next to Fort Riley, and we don't know exact number, but we know over half of people that go to Rock Hills Church are Army-related. Whether serving as a soldier, serviceman or woman, or family thereof, it's probably around 60%. And so we wanted to take a Sunday, along with Freedom Splash. It's a great opportunity. Bring along an organization that we partner with doing incredible things, just to communicate how much we love the opportunity and privilege we have to serve in a military community and make connections to community. And so I know as I say that, there's some men and women deployed watching online right now, which I think is awesome, and thank you for tuning in. Give it up for those that are watching online. We love you guys. And so I'm going to pass it on to Kevin. He's going to talk about something called Network 21-1. It's an organization that we partner with. He'll explain it. He's going to talk about Warrior's Journey that's within that organization. And he's going to share some pretty miraculous things with you. And we have some other special guests that you're going to get to meet in a little bit as well. But, hey, Rock Hills, man, I just know you're going to give the best welcome we've had all day. This is the noon service. Isn't that incredible? You know, food and picnic help. But here, yeah, it's awesome. So, but the guys, would you give a warm welcome to my friend Kevin like you've never done it before? Give it up, Kevin Weaver.
Thanks, Pastor Troy. Appreciate it. Thank you, Lacey, too. And for all your staff, it's just a great pleasure to be back with you. Those of you, how many of you were here when I was here a year ago? Do you remember? So that means, wow. So let me ask you this. How many of you were not here when I was here a year ago? Oh, my word. Wow, you guys are just growing. It is awesome. In fact, I think you were just in 2 services last year. So when Troy said, yeah, I want you to come back, but there's 3. I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's really cool. So congratulations as you guys continue to grow and make an impact in this community. Just know that what I'm about to say is thank you, because you're not just impacting this community, but you're impacting the world through the way you partner with us and other organizations. And I'm just so grateful that you have a pastor leadership team and all the volunteers that work here, that's your mindset, is that we know that we can effectively do stuff here, but we can also be involved with stuff that's outside and around the world. So thank you so much. Everything that I'm about to share with you, please do not fail to realize that it's because of that partnership that it happens. We wouldn't be able to do one thing if it wasn't for congregations and people, communities like you, churches, that help us do what we do. So, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Literally, it wouldn't happen. We just wouldn't have the resources to do it. So God bless you. Thank you, first of all. Let me just introduce myself real briefly, those of you who weren't here last year. So I'm Kevin Weaver. I get to serve at an organization called Network 21-1. And we have several different products or projects. I probably should say projects. But one of those projects is the Warrior's Journey, which I'll share in a moment. But with Network 21-1, it's pretty exciting. But let me just share a little bit about my family. I'm a veteran, Air Force guy, so Army guys don't hold that against me, you know. And, yeah. Hey, somebody say that again. Is there an Air Force person here somewhere? All right, hey, all right, man. Usually in this kind of a community, I'm all by myself. So I was at an event the other day. Well, actually, a few weeks ago in Germany at a conference, and they're saying, "Hey, Air Force." I think it was the only Air Force presenter there, and so they're all just like, "Yeah, whatever, chair force, you guys, whatever." And I said, "Yeah, usually people say that, but when they're in combat and we kind of come to their rescue. They change their tune, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's really true. We do kind of like you guys." So anyway, my sons. I have 3 boys. In fact, they're my boys. I'm in the middle there. Okay, so that's not one of my boys. That's me. But over on the right side here, excuse me. Yeah, right side. My oldest son, that's Caleb, and he's married to an amazing lady named Michaela, and my daughter-in-law, and they just had twin daughters. They'll be 3 months old. On the 11th of July, my wife last service texted me while I was talking. She corrected me because I didn't say it right. So we're really excited about that. We have kind of a standing thing in our family because my boys are competitive. So I kind of figured out we want lots of grandkids, because we don't, we can just love on them and send them home. We don't have to take care of them. So it's really great. Grandkids are awesome. So with these grandkids, this makes number 3 and 4 for us. My middle son has 2. So I said to them, I said, look, my middle son, he was the favorite son for a long time. "Oh, Dad, is that because he's an Army Ranger?" I said, "Nope, that's because he's got 2 grandkids. He gave me grandkids. So whoever gives me the last grandchild would be the favorite child." So now they're competing. So he had twins and said, "Hey, double trouble. That's really great. Hey, grandkids." And so they're awesome. They serve as pastors, worship pastors at a church north of Detroit. So we're really proud of them. They're serving the Lord. My middle son, he was in Ranger Regiment, 3rd Bat, 70th Ranger Regiment at Fort Benning. He left there a year ago when he came home from his 3rd tour in Afghanistan. So thankful, made it home. But he was supposed to go back into what they call regular Army as an officer. As you make captain, you go back as a company commander. He said, "I'm going to put my packet in for Special Forces." And I said, "Well, hey, good luck with that. It's pretty, that's pretty rough because it's really slim pickings when it comes to guys who make that, especially as a commissioned officer." Well, he got selected. I was really proud. My wife, not so much, so she's like, but he's got an amazing wife named Kelly, 2 kids, and she's expecting and will give birth in September. So he goes back to the favorite child. So we're really kind of excited. That'll be number 5 for us, and they're having another girl. So I've got 1 grandson and 4 granddaughters. So, this is great. These girls are awesome. I got to buy a pony farm. I got to figure that out because these girls, man, I tell you, they take your heart. So that's my middle son, and he's now in the Q course. Which is the course for Special Forces. He'll get his Green Beret in January, Lord willing, so we're really proud of him. And then also my last son, or my youngest son, he is my last, yeah. My last son, my only last child, thank you, Jesus. He is an armor officer. He's first lieutenant. This is his commissioning service, actually, a few years back. But he's at Fort Campbell, and he serves at a cav unit there, the 133. He's with the Rakasans there, the 101st Airborne. So kind of a neat deal. He's in Ranger School right now, though, actually. So if you would pray for him. So he's in his first phase. He's in Derby phase, and so he wants to go to get through. So anyway, that's my family. That's my boys, and so we're really connected to this military thing in a really powerful way. In fact, Marcy Robinson, who's with us again, I'm going to have her share in just a few moments, from Wamego, right here down the road. Their family was such a huge influence through her husband, Sergeant Rob, as we know him affectionately, was such an influence in my boys' lives. So thanks again for being with us. Let me just share with you, give you a couple of updates on what's going on with Network 21.1. We are a world missions organization that primarily uses technology to introduce the message of truth to individuals who need to know the gospel. So what this is right here, you'll see, this is a live stat page, okay, on our site. In fact, you can go and you can visit this anytime, network211.com, and you go to stats and you can see this. It's updated every 30 seconds, and Google is the one who drives the stats on this. But basically what this represents, and don't let this overwhelm you. It's kind of like, well, that's numbers, whatever. But every number on here represents an individual life. We have over 32 different online interactive communities. Now, they're not just websites, but they do offer information, but they're communities that actually communicate the gospel at a person's point of crisis. There are 4.8 billion people in the world that use the internet every day. That's over half the world's population is online. It's crazy, and it's growing exponentially. They predict that 90% of the world's population will be online in the next 5 years. And it's only really limited to electricity, to access to to things like tablets and cell phones. 68% of that usage happens on a cell phone or on a tablet, so it's a mobile device. So pretty crazy. So we work very hard to make sure that our platforms work with those types of devices. So here's what we did. We created presentations of the gospel based on what people are searching for, okay? So we could go and look for people to talk to, but we said, well, let's not do that. Let's talk to the people who are looking. And what are they looking for? They're looking for answers when it comes to crisis in family, crisis in marriage, crisis personally as it relates to depression, hopelessness, brokenness, insignificance issues. So we key off on those words that Google has helped us to understand, the most searched words, and we've developed presentations through story, through video, through articles, through a myriad of different pieces of media to initiate this contact to them in reference to the gospel. So they search, they find us because we buy AdWords, and so we have a little advertisement that'll say, find hope for your journey, and whatever that issue is. They click on that ad, and we give them a presentation according to that specific need. Not just anything, but that need specifically. So maybe they're thinking about taking their own life, which we deal with many, many suicide issues every day, actually, across the world. In fact, we're in 244 countries right now, every day. It's crazy. About 25 to 30,000 gospel presentations every single day. It's just insane. It's just crazy. So God's opened this huge door because people are looking. So we present the gospel. They search. We connect with them when they're ready. They'll read. They'll research. They'll watch. They'll hopefully be touched by the power of the Holy Spirit as they are engaging with this idea of God's word and the scriptures, engaging with them according to how it could effectively meet their need. And when they're ready, if they've made a decision for Christ, we have a reaction, what we call a response button. They can hit a button, hey, I made a decision, what's next? Or, hey, I'm not quite sure what to do. I want to talk to someone. Can you help me? Hey, I need prayer. So that's what we call a response button. So as you can see, we've had 36.6, over 30 point, almost 37, there are 36.7 million people who have actually visited our site and watched a gospel presentation. Out of that, we've had 1.7 plus million people actually press a button and say, hey, I either made a decision or I want help, I want to engage. And we get them connected one-on-one with an individual person who will become kind of their buddy, their spiritual buddy that walks them through this discipleship process. And we take them from that search ultimately to a face-to-face community, searches to churches. That's our mantra. We want to get them in the community. So that's how many people we've actually made connections with, and over 300,000 people in the last 10 years, about 10 years now. So isn't that awesome? So God's really helped us, and that's a life change. And many of these lives we don't believe would even be living if it wasn't for the fact that Christ came and met them, and the Holy Spirit did an amazing work in their life. So I want to say thank you, because every dollar you've given helps us to reach 15 plus people. For a gospel presentation. That's pretty cool. The breakdown as far as money goes, actually getting people into a church, it's about $18.73 to get them from that first one to the last one. So think about that. How many times would you spend less than $20 to see somebody who doesn't know Jesus actively involved in a discipleship relationship? Hello? I'd spend that every day and twice on Sunday, right? Love that saying. It just fits so perfect in this, So this is an example of a live shot. 43 people right now watching a presentation as I'm talking to you, according to their needs. Different language. We're right now and currently in 16 languages, 17 languages. Hopefully soon, by the end of August, we're launching Italian, so that's going to go. So in the top 10 languages of the internet. So it's great. So these are the different people in the last 46 minutes that have made a decision. And again, you can go to those live stats. So cool stuff happening. So God is really doing. Now, language thing, Journey Online was a platform that another product, if you will, or a platform that we built to kind of combine a bunch of all these different discipleship sites. We had Who Jesus Is, which was its own site, Journey Answers, which was what I talked to you about, how people find things through, kind of certain issues. These were all separate sites. So what we did was we actually, a year ago, decided to restructure this, give it a new look, and put it all under one site so that people wouldn't have to go to different sites because we were losing people. They come to Christ, and then we were trying to help them to start a discipleship process. They didn't know where to go. And so bottom line is we went to this new platform called Journey Online, and it looks really good. It's really cool. We have some really contemporary presentations. Lots of stuff happening. About 7,000 discipleship articles currently on this site. It's amazing. And like I said, there are about 20,000 visits to this particular site every day. And so we're engaging. And, of course, these are some of the issues here below. You can see it's kind of cut off there. You can't see the whole thing. You'd want to scroll through, obviously, and see. There's a lot of good stuff there. So journeyonline.com. Check it out. There's information at the table out there. You can check that out. But we thought it would be really great because we saw an uptick from these from visits to actually engagements. It literally 60% increase the day we launched this site. So much better effectiveness. So we thought, well, let's do this. Let's not only take this in English, let's see if we can put this on other language platforms. So we decided to do it in French. It looks pretty good. That's actually a picture in France, and we took, and we got videos from people who live in French-speaking countries. It's not just France, right? It's France. It's Quebec, Canada. It's throughout northern Africa. Many French-speaking, we call that the Francophone world, right? And in fact, there are many Muslims where their first language is French, and they're coming to know Christ through this site. And then we decided, well, let's do it in Russian. This is great too, because Russian's just a great language. It's a real simple language. It's really easy to learn. And I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's crazy, but we have actually a Russian-speaking person on our staff. They translated all this, and this launched back in January. We're having huge responses on this. Here's another language. How about let's just go ahead and do it in Mandarin? This is another one. Why not? Well, because there are only 1 billion people that live in China, so they happen to be one of the top countries, so let's get this in their language, and this thing's exploding. Pray for us, though, on this, because China has really cramped down recently, like in the last few months, on the internet. So we're having to think of some creative ways to advertise, because they're really trying to shut this whole thing down. Not just us, but anything having to do with Jesus. So pray with us, because it's been so effective on this, but this is great. So just to give you an example. So that leads me to basically this next project that you can go to the next slide. So the Warrior's Journey is another platform that we decided to launch. It'll be 3 years ago in October. Marcy, you were with us at the kickoff, I remember right? So 3 years in October, the October 15th, and we hoped that building this site, because we know that each community has its own unique issues. So with the help of the Pentagon, with the help of the Department of Defense, we were able to do several studies, surveys. Harvard University helped us with the assimilation of this process of finding out how this information that we collected through surveys, how do we find out what's important. They helped us do all of this. It was awesome. I'm so dumb. I don't even know what they call that, but it's what do they call it? They call it like information assimilation, basically finding out how you take surveys and then what's the top stuff, what are the priorities. So they were able to give us 12 specific issues that military members deal with. How many of you are active duty, retired, or somehow affiliated directly as a spouse to the military? Just to raise your hand. Okay. Wow. Oh, wow. Okay, so at least half, if not more. That's great. By the way, thank you not just for your service, but for your sacrifice and your commitment to our freedom. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And this country appreciates you. Thank you so much. So with that, because there's no guessing this, there is a difference in the way you live in a community like that than you do as a civilian. There's differences. And you deal with stuff that a lot of people just don't understand. So we thought, well, if we were to create a platform, wouldn't it be awesome to focus on the Warrior's Journey? And so we'd hope that we could reach, because of the numbers. In fact, Google did a calculation for us based on all of our other campaigns the last 10 years. They said if you focus on about 50 million people, which that's about what it represents, 50 million veterans, American military members, and their families around the world, you hopefully would be able to reach or communicate with or have at least 500 visits a month. Visits. That's just visits. We thought, well, that would be great. I thought it was kind of aggressive, but that's great. So we set a budget. We created the site. This is the home page currently. About 750 articles with several video testimonials. And we just kind of kicked it off not knowing what to expect. Well, the first month we were over 500. It was like, wow, that's pretty cool. Second month it was over 1,000, and we didn't even do anything different. By February of 17, we were at 3,000 visits a month. Guys, this is crazy. So last February, 89,000 visits in February 19. Insane. We are just blown away. Google's like, what are you doing? How does this work? They're like, we don't get it. And we're like, we do. It's Jesus. It's like, hello, we're offering something that guys well, I say guys, men and women, people in the military are really starting to effectively understand. And we're hopefully presenting the gospel not only in a creative way, but in a relevant way that makes sense to people, where they can take what God has to offer and they apply it to their circumstance, and it changes their perspective about everything. and we're seeing people come to Christ in an amazing way. So here are our current stats. So 479,000 plus visits. What's amazing is about 279,000 of those have happened since January this year. So it's just exponentially just taken off. We've had over 20,000 responses. People have said, hey, I'm making a decision about something in my life, you know. And then over 3,100 people that we've been able to effectively connect with and or refer to other partner organizations to get them help that they need. It could be the VA, could be organizations like Mighty Oaks or Reboot Combat Recovery or other nonprofits that offer services that we don't offer, but we have 32 of those partnerships now that we become the hub, and then we're able to refer. It's really exciting. So they come to us, we're going to find them what they need. You know, if we can't do it directly, we're going to do it through a partner. And it's been, I don't know, I'm kind of passionate about it. I get really excited about it. I've never been more fulfilled in what ministry can be, is to watch what I believe to be the greatest heroes of our culture. The people, and I'm not just talking about guys. All right, all you guys that are in the military, the guys and gals, right, that do the active duty part, you're awesome. But I'll tell you who's just as awesome, if not more awesome, are the spouses and the families, because you're doing it together, and you're the unsung heroes. So can I just be cheesy? Will you thank these people today? I know that. Thank you. We love you, and I'm kind of like that Blue Star dad now. It's like, kind of living through my sons a little bit vicariously now too. So, and that goes to a lot of people that maybe we seem to sometimes forget, and that's Blue Star families. You know, families that maybe are kind of distantly connected because it's a son or a daughter or related to someone who's in the military, and even more so our Gold Star families. And I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. So some cool things. So real quick, let me just give you a couple of other quick updates. The new site, we're actually launching a new version of the Warrior's Journey coming up. That's really exciting because we've taken 700 plus pieces of information. That's grown to about almost 5,000 pieces of information because we publish about 3 to 4 articles a day. We're releasing new video stories. Really pretty cool. So we wanted to restructure the site so you can navigate it easier. So that's happening. We hope that it'll really make a difference in our responses. Also coming up, which is pretty cool, is some of the DoD contracts that God has opened the door for us. Chaplaincy development program that we're working on. We're literally launching this as a pilot in Germany August 2nd. So we have a team, a Warrior's Journey team that's going to be going to Germany. We're going to be working with a pilot group of about 80 chaplains. We're going to be introducing some behavioral health steps, some measurement tools, and an ongoing 24-month program that includes coaching, mentoring, and some amazing things that the military has never been able to offer our chaplains. Our chaplains take care of the troops, but who takes care of the chaplains? Nobody. They don't have any place to go. And that's caused some real challenges. And so the DoD, literally, we got a call from a couple of generals, and they're like, hey, we really like what you guys are doing. Could you maybe develop a program? And if you do it and we like it, we'll buy it. We'll pay for it for you guys to. Oh, sure, that's great. You know, why not? You know, another revenue stream, Pastor. It's we're always looking for ways to fund the ministry, and so not to mention the fact that that's an endorsement, right, for our ministry. So to help, there's not too many nonprofit faith-based groups that get to help the DoD directly, and so we're very fortunate that way. You know, I've been at the Pentagon 3 times this year. I'm going again here July 10th with another meeting, and so. That's pretty cool. It's a total God thing. Every time we go, it's like, why are we here? This is really cool. Like, hey, but we want to help. And so please pray that God will help us do that. Beyond Trauma is an example of an 18-week curriculum that's just going to print this week. It's an 18-week actual study on invisible wounds. We have several invisible wound centers through the DoD and the VA that are actually going to be purchasing this curriculum from us as we're developing and writing it, and it's a faith-based curriculum. And they're like, hey, we got all this stuff, but we don't have anything that talks about spiritual resiliency. Can you help us? Absolutely. So we've got some amazing writers working with us. It's legit, folks. This is stuff that's actually like PhD level stuff, and I wasn't involved in the process, but we've got a great team, and they really know how to bring it, and it's been awesome. And then, of course, we do workshops and training around the world for different military installations. We're there all the time. We've got a team of folks that really help us with that. So great stuff happening there. And then one last thing that I'll share with you, actually 2 last things, but Kaiserslautern Military Resiliency Center. How many of you have been to Ramstein Air Base? Anybody? Yay, okay, so isn't that a great place? I love that place. So we opened up a coffee shop called KMRC, or the Rama Cafe. It's right outside Ramstein. It's off post, or off base, as they say, right down in Kaiserslautern, that area. But we actually opened up this huge coffee shop, 5,000 square foot. We invested, a lot of effort in this. And Tim Kurentz, he's our director there. He's a retired E9, Chief Master Sergeant Air Force. Yay, that's awesome. Yeah. And has just finished his PhD in behavioral health. He's an ordained minister now, and he is using all of our curriculum. We're partnering together to create this environment where people come in for coffee, and then we do workshops. We've got 6 or 7 workshops going per day. They come in for coffee. This last weekend, or last week, he said, we finally hit the crest where the coffee shop is actually paying for everything. They sold over 800 cups of coffee, and we're averaging that about every day now. And it's only been open a month, because these Americans are addicted to coffee, and they come in, they love this coffee thing. So it's kind of a cool deal. So it's kind of like Starbucks and church all in one. Great comment, So it's great. So we're making this leap, and these guys maybe they're a little bit hesitant to go to behavioral health or to get the help they need, but they'll come get a cup of coffee, and they'll talk to people. It's another way that we're impacting our folks downrange or those who are deployed, and many of them are doing that stuff or away from family. So isn't that cool? So we're excited. Again, you guys are helping us do all this stuff. And then one final thing that I'll just mention before I share just a few scripture, I want to just encourage you. And, it's really about this suicide issue. The suicide issue in the military is fast becoming probably one of the most aggressive cancers, in our culture. In fact, so much so that the Veterans Administration, along with President Trump, made a confident or a concerted effort this last March, and he signed an executive order that said, I don't care what it takes, I don't care how much it costs. And he said this to the VA, Director Wilkie. He said, Director Wilkie, please, you will find a solution. We will end veteran suicide or military suicide. We need to end it. We're going to give a focus to this, so let's get to it. And, oh, by the way, use whatever means you need to do to make it happen, which includes faith-based organizations. We're opening the door. So that's been huge for us. So we had an invitation to go to Washington, and we sat down with the VA. We had a round table. It was really amazing. There's some positive things that are happening. I know the VA gets a bad rap on a lot of stuff, and sometimes deservedly so. But there's a lot of good things that are happening. A lot of good people that are really trying. We work with individuals. In fact, if you have a problem with the VA, please call me. We have some people who can help you. It's not what you know, sometimes who you know, right? So please call us. We've got some great relationships. We can help you with that. So, but God has opened up this door, and 55 individuals this year have contacted us with suicidal ideation issues. And I'll tell you, we're so excited about this. Thank Jesus for this, but we have a 100% success rate. All 55 who have come to us, and many of them are like, hey, I've got a gun to my head. Tell me why I shouldn't pull the trigger. And all of them are serving God. All of them are on their way to his discipleship. Yeah, and God is doing a work amongst this group of people. So pray that God will help us dive into the shadows. And I just feel like I need to say this. And listen, if you're in that place and you've got those thoughts, please, the very very least, check out what's on the Warrior's Journey. Just give God a chance, because there's more to this life. That is not the answer. You don't want to do that, because it leaves a wake of carnage, not just with you, but with everybody attached to you. Trust me, you're loved, and God wants to do something there. So, all right, so with that, let me just segue. So with that, I'm going to share just a few things, and we'll close this up, okay? So think in terms of how you can now take what you've learned over the last 4 weeks in the book of Philippians, because I'm gonna have you turn to the book of Philippians. I kind of have to recap. Sorry about that, guys. Actually, I'm not sorry. I'm excited. So, but I really felt that God put on my heart something about Paul, and I know you've already had some amazing teaching on this. I'm not going to dive deep. I'm going to do more of a skim and maybe just a reminder and bring some additional practical principles for you to remember, because everything that we deal with whether it's a global scale or with a military community or with individuals, it's always about, hey, you just don't have the right perspective. I dealt with a guy on a golf course at an event here just a few months ago. We were doing this benefit, and we had these wounded warriors. And this particular guy lost both his legs in Iraq. He beat me at golf, too. I was so frustrated by that. I was like, finally, I'm going to beat this guy. I'm just going to be honest. I looked at him like, I got this. He creamed me. He's such a great golfer. It's like, are you kidding me? I know you're thinking you're just a terrible golfer. Yes, I am. So, see, but we're on the 18th hole, and he looks at me and he says, I really appreciate all the things you've shared in the workshops and all these things, but you just need to know something, that there's no hope for heaven for me. There's just no hope. And so just don't get disappointed that I'm not going to engage anymore. But I appreciate the time. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, well, all the things that I've been a part of, the things I've done, there's no way that a loving God could forgive me. And I said, well, what did you do? Did you disembowel babies in their sleep? He's like, well, no, of course not. I said, well, are you a war criminal or something? He goes, well, no. I said, well, what did you? Well, I did my job, but, it says thou shalt not kill, and, there's just no hope for me. And I'm like, whoa, time out. So I opened up to the book of Deuteronomy, and it says, in chapter 17, I think verse 1, it says that God is a warrior God, that he has a warrior heart, that God is against the injustices of evil of the world, and he raises up the mighty soldiers and an army to work against those. And he's just looking at me like, what? I said, do you realize that not only, in my opinion, if what you're sharing with me is all true, that not only does God not need to forgive you, but he's very proud of you because you were willing to raise your hand and put your life on the line for our country. Big crocodile tears come down his face. He goes, you really believe that? I said, I know it. I led him to Jesus there, halfway up the 18th fairway. So, I mean, guys, I'm just telling you, it's all about perspective. He just had no idea. He didn't understand that murder and kill are two different things, right? And he just didn't know it. He didn't have any perspective, and he didn't understand the truth. And so this is what this is all about. And Paul, in his experience as a prisoner for the cause of Christ, here he is in this perspective issue that here I'm now a soldier chained to another, or excuse me, I'm a soldier for God, but chained to a soldier of the Roman army, and I have no privacy. I have nothing in my life that gives me anything of value. I'm totally someone else's. I have no control. I have no freedom, no liberty whatsoever. And I don't know about you, but if I'm sitting in a jail cell and I'm chained to a Roman soldier 24/7, I'm probably going to be a little depressed. I'm not going to be happy about it. But Paul saw it as an opportunity because he had the right perspective. He said, hey, God, I don't get this, but I'm going to make hay while there's day, right? What an amazing opportunity. I have a captive audience to share the gospel. Think about it. What's worse, from your perspective, what's worse, being a Christian chained to a Roman guard or be a pagan Roman guard chained to the Apostle Paul? Hello? Who's got the bad end of well, that's the good end of the stick, but I mean, really, who's got the raw end of the deal on that thing from a human perspective? Can you imagine when they're doing the roster? Hey, who's got to do the Paul thing today? I don't know. I hope I don't get that. Hey, Bill, you got that duty. Oh, man. That guy's he's going to preach at me all day long. He said, yeah, it's awesome, though. You just ought to accept Jesus because it really has changed my life since I did it. These guys were getting saved. In fact, if you look at the end of the book, it says, send my greetings. Caesar's household is sending their greetings. This is the palace guard. So here's what he writes. He says, I want you to know, brothers and sisters, that what's happened to me has actually served to advance the gospel. As a result, it's become clear throughout the whole palace guard and to everyone else that I'm in chains for Christ. You see, he had the right perspective because he was willing to set aside control of what he wanted. See, listen, suffering, hardship, trial, difficulty, however you want to package it, whether it's tragic, hurtful, where it shatters your world or it's just something that's just a little annoying, whatever it is, it's always an opportunity to see God do something great if we have the right perspective. Perspective is everything. In fact, with that note, I'm going to invite Marcy. Would you come? And Marcy's going to share as we kind of wrap things up here. And I want her to kind of bring a kind of an exclamation point to this whole thing this morning. Some of you were here last year. You got to hear a little bit about Marcy's story. Hey, how are you? Good, right? Okay, so Marcy has served, her family has served, their daughters and their family. Her husband, Sergeant Rob, as we affectionately know him, he was one of my son's instructors at ROTC at Pitt State before he went back to his unit and then deployed for, I think it was his third deployment? Fifth deployment.
Fourth in our marriage.
Okay, fourth in our marriage. Okay, so, yeah, wow. Okay, I was thinking 4, but 5. Okay, you guys know how that goes. So, to Afghanistan. And he was really kind of probably at the top of his game, and, he's E7, just the whole thing, And, of course, we had grown to love him and his influence on our boys, and our boys just kind of thought he was like, he was an army god, okay, in a sense, without being, you know what I'm saying. He was a rock star. Let me put it that way, okay? He was a rock star. So then we find out November 3rd, 2013, my son calls me, said, hey, I just heard from Marcy, but that was a pretty rough day. Tell us about what happened that day.
Well, that was the day that no army wife ever wants to open the door to. And my doorbell rang. I was like, who's in my house? And then I was speechless, the two guys in the uniforms at the door. But even in that moment, God was with me. Like,
And maybe for people to understand, basically they were there to give notification that Sergeant Rob was killed in action. He gave his life for our country. So you got to deal with this.
Right. And so they came in and we're sitting there, and I like Kevin said, I have 3 daughters. They were almost 14, 10, and 6 at the time. And I didn't have enough lap space or hands for all of them. So the youngest was on my lap, and then another one was sitting in front of me on the footstool, and then next to her was the other one. And the one I just couldn't get far enough to get a hold of, she just kept getting up in the middle of this. They have to read a script, and she just kept getting up and she would just scream. She couldn't handle it. And I said, they can't leave until they finish the script. And I just didn't know what else to do for her in that moment. I just felt like she needed them to be gone. And the guy reading said, I will stay all day if I have to. She can do whatever she needs to do. And then the chaplain sitting next to me put his hand on my hand, which some strange guy putting his hand on mine could have been super weird, right? And not okay. But in that moment, it was like, it just clicked with me. Just all of a sudden, like, I felt peace and I felt calm. And I knew that I wasn't alone. I knew that I would be okay. Like, definitely not in that moment, and it wasn't going to be easy, but that I had my God with me.
So in this moment, God's giving you some long-term perspective.
Yeah.
Now let's be real, okay? Because I think this will encourage you to know, because you might say, "Oh, that's great. Then Marcy, you were just fine, and from that day forward, you were just full of joy and happy." And it's like it doesn't work that way. No. There were some bad days, I'm sure, some tough days. And
like I said earlier, I was a hot mess. My mom. I had to live with my mom for a year and a half. Like, she cooked meals for us. Like, she fed my kids. She made them do their homework. She made them take showers. Like, I just wasn't able to be a mom. And, I have brothers and my church, and just every time that, like, I was failing, they were picking up where I was failing. And I couldn't have made it without knowing that I had that support, not just my family, not just my church, but my God was always with me. I never felt like I wasn't strong enough to keep going.
So awesome. And now, by the way, Mom's here.
Yeah.
Good job, Mom. And so through this process, though, now God's beginning to help you understand the big picture.
Right.
And tell us what happened next, as He challenged you to take a step to leave some legacy.
So all the soldiers that told me what an impact my husband made on them really, like, inspired me. Like, if I had died that day, no one would have said those things about me. There wouldn't, maybe my kids, but
I think your kids would.
But I just felt like I wanted to move forward and make that same kind of impact. At the same time, I also realized that I'm taking my kids to grief counselors, and they are clueless. They don't know the military. They don't understand. He didn't just go to work one day and not come home. He was gone for 9 months. They were scared those whole 9 months. Like, there's so much that goes into being an Army family that if you don't know that life, it's hard to help someone in that life. So I went back to school, and in May, I got my master's degree in social work, and now I'm a therapist, and my focus is hopefully... Yeah. And my focus is going to be military and first responders, and I actually get to work at a faith-based counseling center that puts Christ first, which is awesome. So I get to talk about Jesus and healing at the same time.
That's awesome. And Marcy has she's been a tremendous volunteer for us at the Warrior's Journey. Continues, these Gold Star families, I think sometimes we just don't know what to do. Or, I've talked to so many people. I'm going to introduce you to Marcy. Oh, okay, what do I say? It's like, what do you mean, what do you say? You say, hi, good to meet you. It's like, it's okay. She's a human being. She's like, but it's good. It's just all good. So even awareness and how to engage and help them to feel like you're still human, and they still need our help, and they still want community, and they want to engage. And so all of that it's such an amazing thing. So Marcy, to see now what you've taken, this perspective, I know it'll be, 6 years? In November. Mm-hmm. So although that's time that doesn't necessarily go by really quickly per se, I just want to read a passage here, because This is what I think speaks so highly for Marcy. This is 2 Corinthians 1:1. It says, "Praise be to God, the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of compassion, the God of all comfort," because you've experienced that, and you know that, "who comforts us in all of our troubles," which I think you could attest to that, right? Absolutely. All of them?
Yes.
"And so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves have received from God." This is what Marcy's done. She's faithfully now said, hey, this is my opportunity, so I'm not going to let my pain be my prison.
Right.
I'm going to let it be a release to relieve others. Isn't that so cool? And that's what this is all about. And all of us have that story. Okay, any last thoughts here before we wrap this up?
Just the last thing. Like, he's talked a lot about perspective, and I think that being a Christian gives me a unique perspective to look at a situation and see where God worked in it. So I can even now, not at first, but now I can look back and think about even the way that my husband died was God was in that. Like, he didn't suffer. I could talk all day about that, but having God is in my life, having Jesus, knowing how loving and compassionate he is, helps me to see that he was loving and compassionate in the way that my husband died, the circumstances, the day, all of it. And if I didn't have that in my life, I don't know how I could be where I am now, how I could have survived going through that without being able to look back and see that perspective. Yeah.
Marcy, we love you, and thank you for thank you for listening, and thank you for taking the opportunity for this. And we love you so much. Amen. So as we wrap this up, just one last passage, and then I'll pray, and I know we got to get out of here because we got people to see baptized, right? So this is great. So listen, perspective is what really ultimately, folks, gives us the passion to drive us to this place to make these kinds of decisions. That's what drove Paul. He said this, "I eagerly expect and hope that I will in no way be ashamed, but I will have sufficient courage so that now, as always, Christ will be exalted in my body." He goes, "I'm so excited because when God has revealed to me that, hey, this is all part of his plan, this is just a unique opportunity for me to be more effective where I could do something that I could never do on my own, but with God I can. But with God," that's a great phrase, right? With God changes everything. He said, "So Christ will be exalted in my body, whether in life or death." Whether I give my life here, whether I die for my faith, it doesn't matter. But if I'm still here, it's going to be all about Jesus. I'm going to make this centered on Jesus. That was his passion. And I don't know about you, but I think about that. Gosh, I want to live my life like that. God, please let me be passionate like that. For to me, to live as Christ and to die as gain. Who says that? Well, Paul does, but who says that can mean it? I think we all can if we have the right perspective. If I'm going to live, I'm going to let Jesus be the center because it's going to be really exciting. And if I die, that's awesome because I get to go to heaven. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. That's actually pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah. It's we just think about dying as this like, but it's really just that next step. That's all part of this redeemed hope that we have now in Christ. So with that, please be encouraged today. And I want to pray for you. And if you don't know Jesus today, I'm telling you, we're not talking about religion. We're talking about a relational engagement with God. The one who created you, he loves you. He knows all about you. There isn't anything about you he doesn't know. In fact, he knows you better than you know yourself. And he's here to help you find that hope and freedom. Or if you're a believer and you're going through a struggle, or you're going through a trial, or going through a tragedy, or maybe there's just a thorn in your flesh, whatever it may be, have you ever thought about this? Is it possible that God is allowing that to open a door for opportunity for you to be a blessing to someone else? Because it really isn't about us. It's about what he's doing through us. That's the idea, right? So would you pray with me this morning? Would you bow your heads? And I thank you so much for the opportunity. Father, we love you, Jesus. We love you because you first, of course, I know that old song, when you first loved us, but you've given us this perspective that there really wouldn't be any value, there wouldn't be any hope to our lives, there wouldn't be any sense of purpose if it wasn't for the cross and the fact that you've redeemed us. And now in that same power, the power that raised Jesus from the dead, you've promised that same power to quicken our mortal bodies, to quicken us, to live in us, to give us the ability to have fellowship and relationship with you. So God, I thank you for that. And I pray for every single person here, Lord, that if there are any that don't know you, that God, that you would touch their hearts right now and you would give them a desire and a clarity and an awareness that you've accepted them and you love them and you just want them to come home. And you want to embrace them, God. And you want to give them the life that you've destined for them to live. And those who are believers today, we know that there may be trial, tribulation, things we can't control, suffering. But we know that today, as we're reminded in Scripture, that it's always true that every difficulty we face is simply an open door to an opportunity for you to do something powerful in our life and the lives of those that you entrust to us. Give us that perspective today. Let that lead to passion. May that passion lead to devotion. And may our devotion literally cause us to act upon what you've slated us to be truth for all of our lives. So, Father, we thank you. If you're here this morning and you don't know Jesus, I'm going to end this prayer this way. Would you just pray this prayer in your own way, something like this? God, thank you for loving me. Thank you for forgiving me. I come to you and I accept the gift. God, I want to stop living my own life. I want to stop striving. And so I run to you and I embrace you, God. And I thank you for the gift of Jesus who paid my penalty. And now because of that, I'll do my very best to live for you all the days of my life as you strengthen me and guide me. This I pray in Jesus' name. And everyone said together, amen. If you made that decision, now act upon it. Pastor's going to help you with that. God bless you.
Thank you, Kevin. Would you give it up for Kevin for being with us today and sharing? And